Actually losing his voice from time to time, and so he called me up a little while ago and asked me if I'd join the tour and sing some songs and help him out, and so here I am. And I was thinking back over some of those years. Of course, I wasn't around for all 50 of them, hopefully you can tell. But some of them for sure. And I thought it would be fun to kind of do some of the songs that I grew up with, some of the songs that were playing around my house. And so I want to start out with this song. It's written by a really good friend of my father's. This is a song by Donovan. In the chilly hours and minutes of uncertainty, I long to be in the warm hold of your loving body, to feel you all around me and to take your hand along the sand. All what I miss will try and catch the wind. When sundown veils the sky, I want to hide away behind your smile. And everywhere I look, your eyes are fine. This is a song I wrote called Seven Sisters. 1, 2, 3. Try to catch a falling star. Wanna hold cry? Oh, seven sisters, won't you cry? Oh, seven sisters, won't you cry? Oh, seven sisters, won't you cry? I put out a kids record, and I want to do one of those songs for you here because, well, it'll be fun. And the record's called Go Wagaloo. We made it really because the Smithsonian Folkways, well, we have a couple kids, that helps, you know, because they inspired the songs that went on the record. And it wasn't just those songs, it was some of the songs that I got to work with. I got to work with some of my grandfather's lyrics. You know, some of the ones that are sitting in the archives, and so I put some melodies to them and made some songs out of those, and so they all kind of came together, and it was really the Smithsonian Folkways that called us one day, and they said, Sara Lee, would you and your family consider making an album, you know, like a kids record, like a family album, that wouldn't want to make people jump out of their minivans? Of course, we knew what they were talking about, you know, and so we collected, well, it was really just a great excuse to get the whole family over to the house, and even Pete Seeger came over and played some banjo with us. It was a really special time. So I want to play you one of those songs, sing you one of those songs. This is actually the title track. This is the Go Wagaloo. These are Woody's words, and I got to put the music to it myself. It goes like this. In this world of spirituation, hey, hey, go Wagaloo. I was born by quick decision, hee, hee, go Wagaloo. My mother was a duck and drums, hey, hey, you might could imagine what it was like growing up in my house. A lot of weird people coming in and out, you know, and I didn't mind them so much. I liked a lot of them, especially one of my favorites was Ramblin' Jack Elliott. You remember Ramblin' Jack? He used to come to our house for like weeks at a time, and so naturally we called him Uncle Ramblin' Jack. And he would come, he used to travel around in this Winnebago, you know, and he'd come and he'd park it right next to my mom's teepees, because my mom had teepees, you know, she was a hippie. And so they'd be in there having all kind of ceremonies. And I wasn't allowed in the teepee during the ceremony, but I could come in afterwards. And I remember one particular night, because it was a school night, Mom was pretty cool about us sleeping in the teepees on school nights. And I went in there, and we're sitting there by the fire, you know, and I'm getting ready to go to sleep, and Ramblin' Jack says to me, he says, "Sara Lee, would you like me to tell you a bedtime story?" And I said, "No." And he said, "Sara Lee, why not?" And I said, "Because, Jack, I've got to get some sleep. I've got school tomorrow." You know, and he said, "Oh, right. Well, how about I come to your school tomorrow and I could tell your whole school a story? Wouldn't that be great?" And I said, "No." He said, "Sara Lee, why not?" And I said, "Because, Jack, school's only 6 hours long." No, they don't call him Ramblin' Jack because he travels a lot. But you may already know that. But you know, it's been really fun for me to be out here on the road with Dad, and one of my favorite things is I get to sit down with them, you know, and talk about the old days and the stuff I wasn't around for, you know, Greenwich Village and the old scene, and we got on the subject of Phil Ochs just the other day. And I remembered that I loved this song, and so I've learned it here. We'll give it a shot. There's no place in this world where I'll belong when I'm gone, and I won't know the right from the wrong when I'm gone. You won't find me singing on this song when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't know the flow. Oh, I already messed it up. And I won't know the flowing of the time when I'm gone. All the pleasures of love will not be mine when I'm gone. My pen won't pour a lyric line when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't breathe the bracing air when I'm gone, and I can't even worry about my cares when I'm gone. And I won't be asked to do my share when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't be running from the rain when I'm gone, and I can't even suffer from the pain when I'm gone. Can't say who's to praise and who's to blame when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't see the golden of the sun when I'm gone. All my evenings and mornings will be one when I'm gone. I can't be singing louder than the guns when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. All my days won't be dances of delight right when I'm gone. And the sands will be shifting from my sight when I'm gone. I can't add my name to the fight when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't be laughing at the lies when I'm gone. And I can't question how, when or why when I'm gone. I can't live proud enough to die when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. Oh, there's no place in this world where I belong when I'm gone. And I won't know the right from the wrong when I'm gone. You won't find me singing on this song when I'm gone, so I guess I'll have to do it. I guess I'll have to do it. I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here.
Gonna come out? Someday, maybe.
Woody Guthrie song that I came across in a songbook just recently, and I was reading through the lyrics, and as I was reading them, I was thinking somebody ought to do that song about now, you know, and so I took it upon myself here to learn it. This is called I've Got to Know. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friends. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends, oh, falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. Why do your warships ride on my waters? Why do your death bombs fall from my skies? Why do you burn my farm and my town down? I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. What makes your boats haul death to my people? Nitro blockbusters, big cannons and guns. Why doesn't your ship bring some food and some clothing? I've got to know, friends, I've got to know. What good work did you do, sir? I'd like to ask you to give you my money right out of my hands. I built your big house here to hide from my people. Why you crave to hide so, I'd sure like to know. You keep me in jail and you lock me in prison. Your hospital's jammed and your crazy house full. What made your cop kill my sister sure have to know. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know, friends. Hungry lips ask me wherever I go. Comrades and friends, oh, falling around me. I've got to know, yes, I've got to know. This one was inspired just a few years ago. We lost our mom in our family, but there's some really beautiful moments around and during that time that I still remember and still help me get through. And one of those was, it was about 2 days after Mom had passed, and we were up in an airplane, 35,000 feet in the sky, and our little girl, she was just 5 years old at the time, she looks up at me and she says, "Mom, did you just see manna in the sky?" And of course, I was looking out the airplane window, and I said, "No, so I don't see her." And she says, "But she was just right there." And I said, "Well, what was she doing?" And she said, "Well, she was an angel, and she was turning into a star." I thought that was the coolest thing. I've heard a lot of different things about death, but I'd never heard that before. And so later on, I asked her, I said, "Sophia, can you tell me about that dream you had again?" She says, "Mom, it wasn't a dream." I think she set me straight. I actually believe her. What an amazing belief to have, that those are souls shining down on us, and so I wrote a song about it, and I want to sing it for you. This is called Circle of Souls. Played over here on Dad's piano, and I stole Dad's band. How do you like my new band? I'm having so much fun playing with these guys. This is our first night back, second leg of the tour, and a lot of shows, a lot of songs. Very happy to be here. So thank you so much for listening, Charlie. 1, 2, 3, 4. Enjoy, folks.
The UFP is said to be traveling at an estimated speed of 150 miles per hour and 500 feet down. Our mini-cam unit is on its way to the scene, and we'll have a live report later. And now, back to the movie.
Wow, some trip. You know, I feel like it's my obligation to write one last farewell song to the world. Just want to ride on my motorcycle. And I don't want a tickle. I'd rather ride on my motorcycle. And I don't want to die. Just want to ride on my motorcycle. I know it's not the best song I ever wrote, but I ain't got time to change it. Sorry about that. On my
being here. I should point out right away that this little animated film we was watching, that was made over 40 years ago. And it had been lost for all that time. I mean, for good reason. And we found it under a desk, you know, in a dusty box about a year or so ago. And it was actual film. So we had to transfer it to something you can see these days. And we were looking at it and we thought, what the hell are we gonna do with this? Now we know. It's kind of, you know, a pleasure to do a tour like this. We don't get to do this all the time. So before we even get started, let me introduce and thank the guys in the band for helping to make this such a fun time for me and hopefully for you. Bobby Sweet here on electric guitar and fiddle. Terry Oliveira on the drums right behind me. Another friend and neighbor Darren Todd on the bass back there. That's not Arlo Guthrie here on the keyboards. Now, you know, doing a show like this is bringing back a lot of stuff that goes way back over 40 years. Matter of fact, I don't even want to play this one. I'll play this one. It's hard to remember stuff. I think what happens, you know, the older you get, in order to make room for stuff that might happen, you tend to chuck the stuff that already happened. And it's indiscriminate. You can't pick and choose the stuff you're gonna forget. It's just gone. Most of the time you don't even know about it until you need it for something and it's like, whoa, what happened to that? So bear with me tonight as we try to remember some of these songs here. And we'll do the best we can. Here's an old one that goes back a long time.
My song is cast upon your
I loved growing up. And a lot of the times, nobody remembered who wrote them or where they came from. It's just that people sang them. And it's what people call folk songs, you know. And although these days when you think of a folk singer, you generally think of people singing songs in the key of me. I'm as guilty as the next one, don't get me wrong, but I still do love the old stuff, and so tonight I thought I'd sing one of those. It's a song I first heard from my father's best friend, a guy named Cisco Houston, back decades ago. Just an old song from New Orleans. Hey, before the night gets too far along, and on the off chance that there's some young people here, I mean real young, you know, like little kids. I remember getting dragged to stuff just like this when I was a little kid by over-enthusiastic parents, as Pete Seeger used to say. And I remember sitting in the crowd, you know, and the songs would be going by and stuff like that. And at some point, it occurred to me that all of the songs that I heard when I was very young, all the records that were played for me and stuff like that, was for the most part recorded by people that grew up before the era of recorded music altogether. It was new. I mean, guys like Leadbelly and Cisco, my father, Pete, and others, when they were young and they were out there playing, when you needed a musician or some guys to play music for your event, you had to go get somebody. You couldn't just turn it on. And so it was always the same guys that showed up for all the events. They would just dress different, you know, according to what was going on, sing the songs that was appropriate to what was happening. And there was songs for everything. And, you know, songs for, well, maybe getting married, maybe getting buried, maybe getting hung. There were songs for every occasion. And there was also songs for little kids, and those were the kind of songs that got played for me when I was young. So when I started having kids of my own, those were the kind of songs I played for them. It was a little over 20 years ago now, and the grandkids started showing up, and I don't know what happened. It was like overnight, all the stuff for kids just went to hell. I mean, suddenly, it had to be good for you. Education. Self-esteem building. Crap like that. Now, I don't know who came up with that stuff, but it wasn't somebody that had actual living kids. It defeats the whole purpose of what the kid stuff is for, which is essentially to put them to sleep at night. Imagine some poor kid trying to get to bed these days, reading them the latest book on how to feel good about yourself. Nobody wants to go to sleep anymore. It's stupid. I like the stuff that scared the hell out of you. Gave you a reason to stay under the covers at night. So decades ago, I wrote this little one. Well, something like this. Me and my goose, me and my pal, we had some very good times. Me and my goose, his name was Al, and he cost only a dime. Over mountains we'd stray, playing all day. I missed him at night until dawn. Then one day I found he wasn't around. I wondered where Al could have gone. I looked everywhere, he just wasn't there. Where could a goose be all day? I miss my pal, I miss my Al. It's sad that things turned out this way. Then Mom brought him in, I remember her grin, stuffed with his feet pointed straight. I'll never forget the night that we met Al off of the old yellow plane. I know it's sick. That's why I like it. You know, I'm gonna tell you. I remember after I wrote it, I gave it to a friend of mine to illustrate as a book for children. And, for 30 years, man, there wasn't one publisher go anywhere near it. They wouldn't touch it. So last year, we went ahead and did it ourselves, and I'm so happy to be an author now. Let's do this old Leadbelly song here. Listen here, that stuff. I gotta do one of those leadbelly songs every night. That's what I learned from Pete Seeger. So that was that one. Leadbelly was, of course, that was not his real name. His real name was Hughie Leadbelly, but everybody called him Leadbelly. And he called himself the king of the 12-string guitar. And that guy was not kidding. He could play the thing. And even the stuff he was doing like 70, 80 years ago, still, even by today's standards, pretty awesome stuff. And I remember actually one of the very first memories I have in my entire life. I was about 2 years old, standing next to Leadbelly, and he was a friend of my father's. And I remember just standing there holding on to a pant leg or something, you know, while they was having a conversation of which I have no memory of. I just remember standing there. And I asked myself a few years back, why would standing next to somebody for a couple of seconds, maybe a minute or two, at most, why would that moment in time stay etched in your brain for your entire life? There's no answer, I was just asking. I remember, even as a little kid, I wanted to play the 12-string guitar just because he did. And, I've been playing one. It comes in handy from time to time. I inherited other friends that lived a lot longer. The reason I know I was 2 years old standing next to him was because by the time I was 3, he was already gone. He was an old man at that time. But some of the other friends lived a lot longer, guys like Pete Seeger, who I worked with for 40, 50 years. But like I said, and interestingly enough, if you ever saw Pete live, you know, he's known for playing that long neck banjo, but he also played the 12-string guitar about half of the time. And if you ever saw Pete playing the 12-string, you probably didn't realize, but you was looking at Leadbelly, because Pete stole everything he could from Leadbelly. And I naturally stole everything I could from Pete. That's the way it moves down through the generations. And like I said, it's come in handy. Pivotal moments in my life. As a matter of fact, just early last year, so a long time ago now, I remember I was finishing up the tour that we was on at that time, and it was just north of San Francisco, and I ran into an old buddy of mine I hadn't seen for a while, a guy named Wavy Gravy. And if that name rings a bell, that's because he was the announcer in the Woodstock movie, you know, the guy saying, "Don't take the brown asses, man," or whatever. Anyway, I love him dearly and don't get to see him very often, but we pulled the tour bus around the place we was playing about a year and a half ago now, and he was standing right there. And I jumped off the tour bus, you know, gave him a big hug, and we sat down on a bench. We was both trying to reminisce, but neither one of us could remember anything. So we just sat there looking at each other, and we got to talking about the 45th anniversary of the Woodstock Festival, which was last August or something like that. And we was getting annoyed about it because we found out they was trying to put together some kind of 45th anniversary concert or something, and we thought it was wrong. I mean, the 45th is great for an anniversary, you know, maybe your birthdays, that's fine. But you don't celebrate Woodstock on the 45th. You wait for the 50th, you know. And so we actually talked ourselves into a frenzy about it and called up the promoters. We said, "What the hell are you guys thinking?" They said, "Well, I was thinking about the 50th, but you might all be dead by then." You had a point. You know, I remember the 40th, that was bad enough. I remember because by that time we was well entrenched in this 24/7 news cycle, you know, people talking all the time. And just prior to the 40th anniversary of the Woodstock Festival, they was calling up everybody had anything at all to do with it to try to get them to talk, you know, for their big 30-second story on the subject. And I didn't want to talk to them. They was all asking the same stuff. It was like, "Arlo, what was it like, man? In Woodstock, dude?" And I thought, they don't actually talk like that except to me. So that was annoying. And I just told them all the same stuff anyhow. I said, "Hey, I just remember getting there." It's not like an interview worth. So I just thought I'd avoid it, you know. Don't don't get me wrong, I do remember some stuff because earlier that year in 1969, I had bought a new car. It was one of these checkers that they used to use for taxis in some of the big cities because you could put entire families like in one car. And I thought, man, if you could do that, I could get the whole band in one car. And sure enough, in the spring of '69, I bought a brand new checker. It was me and all my guitars, all my stuff. A guy with a big double bass back in those days and all of his stuff. Another guy with a full set of drums and all of his stuff. Another friend of mine played guitar, all his guitars, all his stuff. Their girlfriends, all their stuff. And we hadn't even opened the trunk yet. That's when America made some cars, man. And so we went to Woodstock, something like that, you know. And I remember we got most of the way there. But after, you know, when we got close, there was just so much traffic, it just came to a dead standstill. So people got out and started walking. It was still miles away. So they rerouted us to some motel. It was going to fly us into the site. And I remember, you know, I was so excited because I was a kid, I'd never been in a helicopter or nothing. And it was me, Richie Havens, some others. And we get in the chopper, and it takes off. And the door stays open. And no matter how high we went, there was people as far as the eye could see in every direction. And in the chopper with us was 2 New York State troopers, one on either side of the open door. On one side there was a big John Wayne kind of guy, and on the other was a little Barney Fife kind of guy. And they was both looking down there just the same as us. And I remember after a while the big one looked at the little one and said, "There's a lot of hippies down there." The little one said, "Yep." The big one said, "I bet they're doing lots of illegal stuff." The little one said, "Yep." And the big one said, "Well, I'm not going down there or nothing, are you?" The little one said, "Nope." That's when I realized we was gonna have a pretty good time at that festival. I was not mistaken. I got there on the first day of that 3-day event, and I was under the impression I was gonna play on the second day, so I had the afternoon, the evening off. And I'm walking around backstage saying hi to people like what you would imagine. And eventually I wander out on this big field with hundreds of thousands, you know, people in the mud and the rain, total catastrophes of all kinds. And I was doing what everybody else was doing. So at some point later that afternoon, I had a serious case of the munchies. I needed to get something to eat, something to drink. And there was nothing. So I thought, I'll go backstage. So I went backstage looking, there was nothing there. All they had backstage was 147 cases of champagne they're saving for the end of the event. And by the end of the first evening, that was gone. Now, I don't remember how many cases I was personally responsible for, but between that and the other stuff we was doing that day, it came as a surprise when somebody come up and said, "Arlo, you got to play now, man." I am playing now, man. I'm not even here now. I'm coming tomorrow. They said, "No, you're here now, man. You got to play now, man." I said, "I can't play now, man. I can't walk now, man." I said, "We don't care about that. Richie Havens been up playing for hours. There's nobody else. You've got to play now, man." And I was too young to realize I could have said no. So I grabbed my big 12-string guitar, walked out on that big stage, and in the middle of that huge stage, they had a circular stage built right in. So while the guys in front was playing, you could set guys up behind them. And when they was done up front, just twist the stage around. Not be wasting time breaking down the first band, setting up the second one. It was a great idea. I mean, it didn't work, but it was a great idea. And in the middle of the circular stage was a big hole for all the cables and mic lines, wires, all that stuff. They didn't tell me about the hole. I wasn't looking for the hole. I'm looking at more people I knew I'd ever see again in my life at one time. And I was looking at them like you could back then. Each one individually. That's when I remember falling through time and space. And the most unbelievable thing happened. I moved through the molecular structure of the wood itself, and I rematerialized on the other side of the hole on stage, almost completely intact. That was my memory of it.
Still here.
Sounds like you might have heard this before. I know I have. That's because this song is called Alice's Restaurant. It's about Alice and the restaurant. But Alice's Restaurant was never the name of the restaurant. That was always just the name of the song. I guess that's why I still call the song Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track, and you can get anything you want at Alice's Restaurant. Well, it all started 50 years ago. 50 Thanksgiving, 50 years on Thanksgiving ago. was at the restaurant. But Alice didn't used to live in the restaurant. She used to live in the church nearby the restaurant, in the bell tower, with her husband Ray and Fonta the dog. And living in the bell tower like that, they used to have a lot of room downstairs where the pews used to be. And seeing as how they took out all of the pews and having all that room, they decided that they didn't have to take out their garbage for a long time. We got up there and found the place was filled with garbage, and we decided it'd be a friendly gesture for us to take the garbage down to the town dump. So we took the half a ton of garbage, put it in the back of a red VW microbus, took shovels and rakes and implements of destruction and headed on toward the town dump. We got there. There was a sign, a chain across the road saying, "Closed on Thanksgiving." We had never heard of a dump being closed on Thanksgiving before. So with tears in our eyes, we drove off into the sunset looking for another place to put the garbage. And we didn't find one till we come to a side road. And off of the side of the side road there was a 15-foot cliff, and at the bottom of the cliff there was another pile of garbage. And we decided that, well, one big pile would be better than two little ones. And rather than bring that one up, we decided to throw ours down. That's what we did. Drove back to the church, had a Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat, went to sleep and didn't get up until the next morning when we got a phone call from Officer Odie. He said, "Kid, we found your name on an envelope at the bottom of a half a ton of garbage. Just wanted to know if you had any information about it." And I said, "Yes, sir, Officer Odie. I cannot tell a lie. I put that envelope under that garbage." So after talking to Odie for about 45 minutes over the telephone, that we finally arrived at the truth of the matter. And Odie said we had to go down and pick up the garbage. We also had to go down and talk to him at the police officer station. Now, friends, there was only one of two things that Odie could have done at the police officer station. The first thing was, well, he could have given us a medal for being so brave and honest over the telephone, which wasn't very likely, and we didn't expect it. And of course, the other possibility was that, well, he could have bawled us out and told us never to be seen driving garbage around the vicinity again, which is what we expected. But when we got to the police officer station, there was a third possibility we hadn't counted upon, and we was both immediately arrested, handcuffed. I said, "Odie, I don't think I can pick up the garbage with these handcuffs on." He said, "Shut up, kid. Get in the back of the patrol car." We sat in the back of the patrol car and drove to the, quote, "scene of the crime," unquote. Now, friends, I want to tell you about the town of Stockbridge, Massachusetts, where this was happening. They got 3 stop signs, 2 police officers, and 1 police car. But when we got to the scene of the crime, there was 5 police officers and 3 police cars, being the biggest crime of the last 50 years, and everybody wanted to give in the newspaper story about it. And they was using up all kinds of cop equipment they had hanging around the police officer station. They was taking plaster tire tracks, footprints, dog-smelling prints. And they took 27 8x10 color glossy pictures with circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. They took pictures of the approach, the getaway, the northwest corner, the southwest corner, and that's not to mention the aerial photography. It was after the ordeal, we went back to the jail, and Odie said he was going to put us in the cell. He said, "Kid, I'm going to put you in the cell, give me your wallet, your belt." And I said, "Odie, I can understand you wanting my wallet, so I don't have any money to spend in the cell. What do you want the belt for?" He said, "Kid, we don't want any hands." I said, "Odie, did you think I was going to hang myself for glittering?" Odie said he was making sure. Friends, Odie was, because he took out the toilet seat so I couldn't hit myself over the head and drown. Took out the toilet paper so I couldn't bend the bars, rolled the toilet paper out the window slide down the roll, having escaped and get away. Nobody was making sure, alright. It was about 4 or 5 hours later that Alice, remember Alice? This is still the song about Alice, and she come by, and with a few nasty words to Obi on the side, she bailed us out of jail. We went back to the church, had another Thanksgiving dinner that couldn't be beat. Went to sleep and didn't get up until the next morning, when we all had to go to court. We walked in, sat down. Obi come in with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows and a paragraph on the back of each one, explaining what each one was to be used as evidence against us. And he sat down. A man come in. He said, "All rise!" And we stood up. And Obi stood up with the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures, and the judge walked in, sat down with a CNI dog. He sat down, we sat down. Obi looked at the CNI dog. Then at the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures and looked at the CNI dog. And Obi began to cry, because Obi come to the realization that this was a typical case of American blind justice. There was no way the judge was going to move to the 27 8x10 color. Well, it didn't matter. We was fined $25 each. We had to pick up the garbage in the snow. But of course, that's not what I came to talk about. Just thought I'd mention it. Thought tonight I'd talk a little bit about the draft. And for those that wasn't there or can't remember or don't know, back in those days we used to have a thing called the selective service system, which meant that when you was a guy and you turned 18, you had to register with the selective service so that you could select some kind of service that might be of interest to you. If your choice was none of the above, they would help you by making a selection for you. And to do that, they had buildings all across America where you had to go in, get injected, inspected, detected, infected, neglected, and selected. I remember I had to go in one of those. It was in Whitehall Street, New York City, and I went in one morning. I got good and drunk the night before, because I wanted to feel my best when I went in that morning. I mean, I wanted to look, I wanted to feel, I wanted to be like the all-American kid. When I went in that morning, I was hung down, I was brung down, I was hung up, I was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking things, and I walked in, I sat down. They gave me a piece of paper, said, "Kid, see the psychiatrist, room 604. I went in there. I said, "Shrink, I want to kill. I want to see blood and gory guts and veins in my TV, dead bird bodies, kill." And I started jumping up and down, kill, and he started jumping up and down with me. And we was both jumping up and down, kill. Till the sergeant came over, pinned a medal on me, sent me down the hall, saying, "You're our boy." I didn't feel real good about it, but proceeded on down the hall, getting more injections, inspections, and all kinds of stuff that they was doing to me. The thing there, and I was there for 2, 3, 4, 5 hours. I was there for a long time, going through all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things, and they was inspecting, injecting every single part of me, and they was leaving no parts untouched. But I proceeded through until I finally come to see the very last man. I walked up, I said, "What do you want to see me about?" He said, "Kid, we only have one more question. Have you ever been arrested?" And I told him the story of the Alice's Restaurant Massacree with 5-part harmony, full orchestration, all kinds of other phenomenon. He stopped me there. He said, "Kid, did you go to court?" And I told him the story of the 27 8x10 colored glossy pictures with the circles and arrows. And he stopped me again. He said, "Kid, I want you to go over, sit down on that bench that says Group W. Now, kid,
Go to the left.
I went over there. Group W. Group W is where they used to put you if you might not have been moral enough to join the army after committing your special crime. And there was all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly-looking people on the bench next to me. I mean, there was mother rapers, father stabbers, and father rapers. There was father rapers sitting there on the bench next to me. I mean, these was nasty, ugly, horrible, crime kind of guys. And the meanest, ugliest, nastiest one, the meanest father raper of them all was coming over to me and he sat down next to me and said, "Kid, what'd you get?" I said, "I didn't get nothing. I had to pay $25 and pick up the garbage." I said, "Kid, what was you arrested for?" I said, "Littering." And they all moved away from me on the bench. The hairy eyeball and all kinds of stuff until I said, "They're creating a nuisance," and then they all come back and shook my hand. And we had a great time on the bench talking about crime, mother stabbing, father raping. We were smoking cigarettes and all kinds of stuff, having a good time. Till the sergeant come over. He had some paper in his hand. He held it up. He went like this. He said, "Kid, you picked up 47 words on there and said this. One more time, the crime, detail the crime, you got 7, take 2 about the crime, rest enough to name kind of thing understand." He talked for 45 minutes and nobody understood a word he said. But we had fun filling out the forms and playing with the pencils on the bench. I wrote down the Massacree like I was supposed to, and I put down the pencil, turned over the piece of paper. And there on the other side of that piece of paper, in the middle of the other side, away from everything else on the other side, I mean underlined, capitalized, quotated, read the following words. "Kid, have you rehabilitated yourself?" I went over to the sergeant and I said, "Sergeant, you got a lot of gall ask me if I rehabilitated myself. I mean, I'm sitting here on the bench. I mean, I'm sitting here on the Group W bench because you want to know if I'm moral enough to join the army, burn women, kids, houses, children, villages after being a litter bug." He said, "Kid, we don't like your kind. We're going to send your fingerprints off to Washington." And friends, somewhere in Washington, enshrined in a little folder is a study in black and white of my fingerprints. They're still there. They've been there 50 freaking years. And I'm not the only one. They've been adding to the collection recently. So the only reason I'm singing you the song tonight is because you may know somebody in a similar collection. Even some of you could be in a collection like that. And if you ever find yourself in a collection like that, you don't know what to do, there may be only one. Well, there may not actually be much you can do, but there's something you can try. It has to be wherever it is you are, as it were. Stop whatever you're doing. Just take a moment and just go out. Let's go like this. Just say, "You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant." That's it. Just sing a couple of bars of the old song. I mean, imagine one person doing that these days. Probably not worth collecting. But imagine 2 of them. Maybe 2 of them trying to get married in parts of Kentucky or something. Or maybe 3 out in Utah, Idaho, I don't know. Or maybe 50, or maybe 50,000 people stop whatever they're doing, singing a few bars of the old song, and you're worth collecting then. Not only that, you get enough people singing a song like that, and even the people collecting might start joining in. And when you get a song that's worth joining in on, no matter what side of the aisle you're on, or who you are, or where you're from, or what your story is, it becomes what we used to call a movement. Now one of these days, somebody's going to write a song like that. It's not this one. Every generation needs their own songs. But while we're waiting for that one to get wrote, we can practice on the one we got. So we'll just wait for it to come around here on the guitar. Some of you know it. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. I mean, if you want to change the world, you want to do something, you want to be worth collecting, you gotta learn to sing loud. So wait for it to come around again. I'm still not proud, tired. Still don't want to be singing it for another 50 freaking years. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. You can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. Walk right in, it's around the back, just a half a mile from the railroad track. And you can get anything you want at Alice's restaurant. At Alice's restaurant. Appreciate it. You know, if I ever thought this song would be so popular, I would have made it a hell of a lot shorter. It's too late now. You know, one of the interesting things for me is that I know that, well, you know, and these events actually happened in late 1965, and I started writing a song then. I finished it the following year. It just took that long for these things to happen. And in 1967, it came out as a record. In 1968, I got a phone call from a very well-known movie director, a guy named Arthur Penn. And he called, he had just finished a film called Bonnie and Clyde back in those days. And he called me up, he said, Arlo, I just heard your record. I think most people believe you're making this up, but I live in Stockbridge. I know these people. I have got to make a film of this. So in 1968, we started working on a film that came out the following year, 1969. And one of the interesting things that I know that we're playing clips from it behind me. I can't see them, but I know they're there. And you should note that the cop in the movie, in the clips, that's not an actor. That is Officer Owen. He called me up, he said, Arlo, if anybody's going to make a fool of me, might as well be me. So he agreed to play himself in the film. The judge in the clips, that's not an actor, that's the real judge. That's Judge Aaron playing himself. And that was the genius of Arthur Penn, was that he got all of us to sort of recreate these events and put them on film. And one of the interesting things was, the very first scenes we began filming in 1968 was me and Officer Owen. We had not communicated or talked or anything in any way since that date in court a few years earlier. And you could say that we weren't the best of friends. We were opposite in every imaginable way, even more sort of divided than the country appears to be these days, if you can imagine. And so we had nothing to say to each other. So we didn't say anything. But there we were, having to do the film together, so we just read from the script every day and let it go with that. That went on for about 2 weeks. And then one morning he comes up to me and he said, Guthrie, if you hippies can get up 4 or 5 in the morning, go through this wardrobe and makeup crap and work all day into the night, it can't be all that bad. And we became friends. And we stayed friends until he passed away some years ago now. But he was actually a good guy, a good sense of humor. And so if you ever see this film, when it comes around every once in a while, take a look at what you're actually seeing. A couple of guys have nothing in common. No, I mean, we don't agree on anything. We can't even talk to each other. Just working together for a couple of weeks, became lifelong buddies. The world needs a little more of that. It's not all that hard to do. You know, I remember when the record, like I said, came out in, it was actually in November of 1967. And back in those days, when we were making actual records, we used to have a thing called test pressings. They would take they had a stamp that actually pressed the records that got sold. But before any of them actually went out there, they would test them to make sure that everything was good. And you listen to it, and it was a kind of cheaper vinyl, but you could hear it for about 10 or 15 times before it got degraded. Those test pressings were the last songs my father ever heard. He passed away just a couple of weeks after that. Of course, that is the family joke, you know, you heard Alice's Restaurant, died. But I remember hearing the stories about the first songs he'd ever heard, which was the ones that his mother, my grandmother, would sing him back in those days, out in Oklahoma, where he grew up. They didn't have records, they didn't have radio, they didn't have electricity for the most part. They were just getting light bulbs, that was the big thing. And so at night, my grandmother would sit around singing the old songs, you know, the old ballads from Scotland where the family was from. And those were the first ones he ever heard. And I know that he heard them because he stole all the tunes, you know, later on in life, and just put his own words to them and stuff like that. And years later, decades later, he wrote down some thoughts about that. And it was just words on a piece of paper. Until my old friend Janice Ian got a hold of the lyrics. She put a little tune to it and turned it into a song. And I thought what she did with it was just so pretty. It goes something like this. If I could only hear my mother sing again. If I could hear you now as easily as then. All the friends and family would sing along with me. Set your spirit free. In my heart, I hear you sing again. Every note is natural as that. And when I sing those songs to family and friends, in my heart I know the troubled times that turned your hair gray, and all the tears and sorrows followed to your grave. But deep within the heart of hunger, there were always memories passed from you to me. In my heart, I hear you sing again. Every note is natural as that. And when I sing those songs to family and friends, in my heart I hear you friend Steve Goodman from Chicago. Great songwriter. And I remember actually playing in Chicago one night. It was around 1970 or so. So it was back a while. And after the show, this little guy come up to me, said, Arlo, I've got a song I'd like to sing you. And he sang me that song. Then he said, would you do me a favor? Give that song to Johnny Cash for me. I said, sure, Steve. I did too. I played it for Johnny Cash. But he had, at that time, recorded a whole bunch of train songs. Didn't want to get stuck in the train song genre. So he passed on it, which worked out fine for me. It's nice to remember some of this old stuff, you know. As a matter of fact, I remember, like I said earlier, we started writing Alice in the fall of 1965, but earlier that year, I had graduated high school up there in the western part of Massachusetts, and I turned 18 that following summer. And I was out there mostly roaming around the East Coast, you know, playing in little coffee shops and pass-the-basket joints in those days, out on the street, whatever. I was just looking for pizza money, essentially. And I was doing good in pizza in the summer of 1965. And then I got a call from some friends of my father's who I greatly admired, a couple of fine blues men from the Carolinas, son of Terry, Brownie McGee. And I loved those guys. They were like family. They were very close to my dad. And every time they came anywhere near where I was, I would sit right up in the front, and I would watch them like a hawk, just trying to figure out what it is they was doing. I mean, nobody played the harmonica like Son of Terror, even to this day. And Brownie McGee was an awesome guitar player. Didn't ever get the credit for it, but that guy knew what he was doing. And I would sit there and I'd just watch him, you know. And so they called me up out of the blue. They said, Arlo, we hear you're playing some music. Would you consider opening a show for us out on the West Coast, Los Angeles? I ran home. I said, Mom, I'm going to the West Coast. She said, no, you're not. I said, come on, Mom, I'm going to open up a show for Sonny and Brownie. She couldn't say no to that. They was like family, you know. So she said, well, if you're going out to the West Coast on your own, you naturally have to stay with family or friends. I said, Mom, we don't have family or friends out there. She said, well, then the next best thing. The next best thing turns out to be somebody that Sara Lee mentioned earlier, a guy named Ramblin' Jack Elliott. He'd hung out with my dad, you know, got in trouble with him across the country. Their journeys are legendary in some circles. And at 18, I knew Ramblin' Jack. I mean, better than my mom. And I was freaking eager to stay with Ramblin' Jack. Let her know that. I said, well, if I have to. So I flew out to Los Angeles. Jack picked me up at the airport in LA. And he took me to his home, which at that time was in Malibu, just north of town there. And he was, in those days, and remains to this very day, not just a great entertainer, storyteller, he's a fabulous guitar player and all that. He's also a rodeo fanatic. And so the very first thing we did was we put down my stuff in his house and walked back out the door, down the street, to a rodeo arena that was right there in Malibu. That day, the Trampist Riders and Ropers Association was having an event going on, barrel riding contests, you know, rodeo stuff. They had a parade going by, horseback, you know, with flags and all that. And leading that parade that day was the most beautiful woman I'd ever seen in my life. Stocky, cold, drop-dead true went out of both sides of my face. I just saw her way off in the distance. She was riding by, you know, getting closer and closer, till finally she went right by me. Without a look, without a glance, nothing. Her shadow stopped in front of me, went around, and then kept going. It was really that bad. And I was so depressed. And Jack saw it in my face and took pity on me that day. He said, Arlo, take this. I said, what is it? He said, don't worry, it'll wear off. Had some strange dreams that night. Got up the next day, sat there out there on a rock and wrote this next song. just thinking about that girl I'd seen the day before, you know, just daydreaming, songwriting stuff, you know. Of course, she didn't know it at the time, but we'd meet again. A few years later, get married, have kids, grandkids, all that. We celebrated our 43rd wedding anniversary back in October of 2012. And she was very ill at that time, but she lived long enough to get through the anniversary with me and all the kids and all the grandkids at this point. And never forget the first time I saw her. And the song I wrote, you know, that I put on the first record I ever made, come out a couple of years after that. So here's one for her.
this song since I was just a little kid. It's one of the few songs my dad actually took me out in the backyard to teach me. I didn't mean to stop, but I remember because he gave me a guitar on my 5th birthday. A little guitar. I still have it. Still play it. And, you know, I was thinking about it because at that, well, I hadn't heard too many of those songs at that time. I was just 5 years old, you know, but I was thinking about that recently because I don't know if you ever felt this, but people like going to places where something happened. You notice that? I mean, it could be a thing with Battleground. People go there, get a little taste of it or something, or a miracle. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, or indifferent. If something happens somewhere, people like going there. And my sneaking suspicion is that every time somebody goes to a place like that, they leave a little piece of themselves. So the next time somebody goes, there's even more there than there was to begin with. And it keeps piling up year after year, decade after decade, century after century in some cases, until finally you get anywhere near a place like that and you can feel it. I mean, it's real, it's palpable stuff. I think the same thing happens with songs. You write a song, might not be all that much to it, but you get enough people singing it year after year, decade after decade, every time leaving a little piece of themselves somehow. Eventually you just hear the song and there's something to it. There's a feeling to it. Maybe it's the spirit of the people that have been singing it all that time. I don't know. I think that's what happened to this song right here. Now I remember one time back in the 80s, I guess it was, my mom had gone over to China. She'd been a dancer in New York with the Martha Graham Company and modern dance company, and they were inviting these artistic type people to go over to China for some reason. And so she goes over, she comes back. She says, Arlo, I was out in the middle of China. They brought out some school children to sing us some songs. They started singing, "This Land Is Your Land." I said, stop the song. My husband wrote that song. She must have drove them nuts. She was driving me crazy about it. It was weeks after she got back. She hadn't slowed down one little bit. And I just looked at her. I said, Mom, what are they singing it for over there? I mean, California. To the New York Island. She just looked at me with one of those mom kind of looks. She said, oh, Arlo. She walked away. I was left standing there feeling like my usual self. I didn't know why or nothing, but eventually it come to me. I could see it just because it said California to the New York Island. Didn't mean it had to go the short way. I just see it going around back. Maybe up over the top or something like that. And then the whole world could be singing that song, you know. Except America. I remember when I had that thought for the first time, I realized I didn't know any more after thinking than before I'd begun. But it never would have stopped me. Here we are. So I've been singing this song for a long time. I remember the day out in the backyard, he showed me the chords to it. When I had that much done, he taught me the verses that was popular at that time. There was 3 of them. And when I learned those, he sang me some verses that nobody had ever heard before. And I learned those too. And I've been singing a lot of them for all these years now. And 60 years, whatever it is, more than that. So I don't sing them all the time these days, but I will leave you tonight with the last one I ever heard him sing me. It was something like this. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking my freedom highway. Nobody living can make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California to New York Island. From the rainbow forest to those green waters. mistake, the show's actually over now. But before we go, let's do this one. So, you know, if you got the kids or the grandkids locked in the car or something, don't be afraid to go get them out. You won't miss anything good here. But let's do this one. It's another one that my father wrote the lyrics for, and I just loved him. I came across him some years ago, put a little tune to it so I could sing it. And it's very short though. It's only 2 verses long and short verses. So I'm going to sing it, and then I'm going to sing it again. The very same thing. And the second time through, I'll give you the words, maybe you can help me out. It sounded pretty good on some of the other stuff earlier, but I know this ain't like 40, 50 years ago, and I'll be singing along with every day, you know. So it's a little too kumbaya for people these days. I get it, I'm with you. So if you're nervous about singing or something like that, don't worry. Just mumble your way through. Trust me, I know people make a living doing it. It's perfectly fine. But, you know, something happens when people are singing and mumbling together. It gets inside you, fixes things you didn't even know was wrong. Better than that, it gets out of a beautiful theater like this and tossed on the breeze that's blowing out there. The places around the world we might not be thinking about right now. We might have friends or neighbors or kin of ours halfway around the world hiding behind trees and rocks and walls. Other people have been shooting at them for weeks and months, and I can tell you those guys can hear on the breeze over there the voices of people singing and mumbling together over here. Yeah. And the sounds of kids playing, the sound of the world the way it's supposed to be. And that depends on people like us from time to time, just to keep it in mind. That's what all that kumbaya stuff's about. Yeah. So here's a little song, we'll see what you do with it. It goes something like this. My peace is all I've got that I can give to you. My peace is all